All right. We're live, Anthony. Welcome back, man.
I appreciate you having me, man. Glad to be
Yeah.
chatting.
Yeah. Well, you're always busy. Toes always tapping, right? Over at Fit Insider, you and Joe. Um, but you guys recently had a big piece of news as far as the rebrand of Fit Insider. And I know everything that you guys do is generally very deliberate and thought out. Even just prior to recording, as we were chit chatting, the thing that kept coming up was, we want to do it the right way. Right. So we're going to be patient. We're going to do it the right way. We're going to get the right team members, and then we're going to unleash it when it's time. So sounds like now is the time. And I'm excited to have you on to talk about what you guys are doing next, what the future of Fit Insider looks like. And there's a lot to talk about. And last bit of babble before we get into you again is like, I feel that a lot of people across the industry know you from the content, right?
hmm
You guys have been, when was the first newsletter you guys released? The very first?
2020.
2020.
Or technically the email of like, hey, here's what I think to like some buds was end of 2019.
Okay. Well, there you go. So, we've been doing this for 6 years. You guys have built up a lot, and people know you for the content, but there's so many different legs to what Fit Insider is. And I feel like that's all now kind of coming clear. So let's dive into it. You guys rebranded. Why?
We rebranded and we kind of announced the broader holding company structure of like what we're doing and all the assets because like we were saying before, it's really fitness has changed. The name is Fit Insider. We thought about changing the name, but then we're like, we can't do that because just what people know and where it is. So it's how do we take our brand and let everybody know what we've been building behind the scenes and continue to stand out and be the place that has a different approach to this. With the audience the size it is, anything we introduce, anything we do, we're very deliberate about it. Specific, it's funny you say like do the right thing. Like we have a big sign and a big mural that says the right thing is the right thing. Had it at our old office, have it at our new space, have it up here at our gym. Everywhere we are, that's like the kind of saying, and that always has to come through. And the rebrand was it's not fitness, it's not wellness, it's not health, it's not healthcare. What is it? It's everything. Everything is wellness or whatever you want to call it. So we wanted to have the brand and everything look a certain way and be clean and no ads and no pop-ups and nothing. How do we, instead of changing the name or knowing what we're going to call this whole thing, how do we make this product, this platform, because we now have reports and press releases and newsletters and podcasts and all this other stuff. And it's like if we just make it so clean and well designed that the content shines through, because one week it's mental health and then it's nutrition and then it's sexual wellness or AI and healthcare and the consumer spending healthcare dollars. As long as the platform looks a certain way and the content shines through, then the name and the everything else, as long as they know it's us, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. And as you and I were talking about, like fitness, and I think about this in my own podcast, the word fitness just doesn't seem to incorporate everything that's going on within our industry
hmm
as it kind of evolves and morphs into different things and kind of gets swallowed in certain areas, but then takes another thing. It's happening so fast. So anybody who's out there listening who has a really good name for what the rebrand the fitness industry could be, I will give you a podcast collective hat and a $20 Starbucks card if you email me and we like it. Anyway,
Same.
let's
I'll match it.
yeah, all right, you can double down. What was when you guys started your content? Let's go maybe a little bit of a history lesson here too. So you started your newsletter in 2019. I know it was very small. It was just kind of a group of friends that you started emailing, right? As it evolved, what was like the first revenue stream that you guys produced?
So we're lucky that we've had a couple exits in the past. We've built and sold some businesses that we didn't monetize it. We could have early on. We didn't monetize it until 2023 at all. And until that point, it was we had built this model. Originally, it was around all that matters is driving the industry forward because we're always going to work in this industry. And it's still today, that's our mission. It's like we're always going to work in this industry. We know it from being trainers and coaches on the ground to gym owners and owning dozens of businesses that have done everything you could and now investing in 50 companies that have done all of these different things. So we're super ingrained in it, and the industry needs a place to drive it forward and say the things and research the things and talk about it the right way and not be self-serving. So it's like, okay, we can do that. And we was like, we essentially said the newsletter at the time before it was anything else is a nonprofit. We just do it. We pay for it. We done it. That's it. We started monetizing in 2023, and then we started working on this holding company structure, which was like, not only if we do media, but we protect the audience in the media. And it's the best content, the best thing, the right thing is the right thing every day in and day out. Then what's our business around it? And that's where these other services, the recruiting firm, the consulting and research, the events, PR service stuff, like the performance marketing, the investment fund, like how do we value this? And even that, like we don't promote most of our things on it. Most people don't even know we do those things. Um, but the brand and relationship we've built is how the rest of the businesses kind of scale up from there. So the newsletter was just running as a weekly send through like me being sick and all of this stuff happening. It was the only consistent thing we did. Then Joe launched the podcast and started doing that. And, he's on episode, whatever, 200 some now, 300 or whatever. And like that for a while. And again, it was do that, do it well. And we'll figure out the rest. But we don't want to run a media company, and we don't want to be the place that does the typical B2B playbook of sell ads, do this, take the money where you can. And that's the model. Like that's not going to drive the industry forward and make it bigger and more valuable. And as founders who had previously raised venture capital money and pitched family offices and tried our hardest, we knew that it needed to be taken seriously. We got so many in 2018, 17, 16, we got laughed at so many rooms for companies that we ended up selling. But like if they were around today, people would be lining up to get into them. And even in 2020, like the amount of money that flew into to fitness, they backed so many things that burned down because they weren't good ideas. They were, if you didn't know the industry, they were good ideas. And then this, it's scared away money again. There was a huge law with connected fitness and at-home stuff, and then this like hold all the money back out, and like that's not good for our industry. So it's how can there be a place that you can find this and do this the right way and talk about it, especially with how big the industry is, and like that's our goal. So how do we stand everything else from that and build really fun businesses? And now that's why we rebranded as like a holding company.
Yeah, it was a really weird time in 20, like you were talking about the connected, and I think you and I had a long conversation on this podcast about just it never made sense. Like if you had been in the fitness industry for a while and you're like, okay, yeah, I've seen behavior change at the root level of like what it takes to get people fitter, and it was just razzle dazzle technology, right? It was like remember Web 3.0, like
same thing, exactly.
That was a thing NFTs. For a while, remember?
Connected fitness at home and all that jazz and all these video streaming platforms were just NFTs in my head.
Right. Totally. So when you guys start going one direction, like let's talk about like Fitt Talent, or when you guys Fitt Capital, right? Those were kind of, I think, the earlier ones that you guys have spun up. Was this due to like, did you always have that vision, or did you start noticing like the people were asking you for specific things? Like, were you like, was it the market telling you, or were you researching the market and looking for it?
It was definitely the market telling us. But I got yelled at by a buddy of mine. I was like, oh yeah, I keep introducing these people to get hired, and we've probably, this guy's the CMO here because of this, and this fund invested $2 million into this company for this, and he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I know like you're not thinking about money right now, and you're just kind of running your thing and you're having fun, but he's like, that's a recruiting firm, that's an investment fund, at least that's SPVs. He's like, you're doing all of this and adding this value, and you're not charging ads on the content, you're not charging to read it, and you're not making money on the other things. So then we started researching all of the services, and talent was the first one where I realized like, oh, we have 100,000 people that read this. We had a free jobs board at the time too that we just built because we wanted to be cool and be free for people, and it's still free to this day. So we were like, oh, the jobs board, there's 50,000 people reading the jobs board every month. And then he was like, yeah, here's a friend that works in recruiting, like show him what you've built and explain to him what you're trying to do. And then he was like, yeah, this is a recruiting firm. Like you've placed 20 people last year. That's like that in and of itself is a firm, let alone your jobs board. So he's like, you have to do this. And then the same thing with investing. We met some family offices and VC funds like Courtside. We joined their advisory board and started working with people, and they're like, oh, really, really big funds like Andreessen and First Round and others that are like the best of the best across all of investing. They have media properties and recruiting firms, and they do all the services and they invest. And you guys are helping do a lot of this stuff, and the industry very well, and you've been in it and research it and publish this. Like, why aren't you doing these other things? And that was really what like sparked the whole thing of, for us, it was like the best way of, oh, we can create content this way and not have to sell out, and we can invest and support people, and we can provide really quality services. And that was 2023 when we realized we're like, oh, this is going to be fun, and this is like a long-term not like, oh, build a startup and sell it. It's like, oh, we want to do this for a very long time, and we want to be the place that acquires all of the other places, media, properties, services, otherwise. And everything that we're doing now and everything that's kind of come from that has been just listening to the audience and trying to be really perceptive on like what people need, like Wellworthy. We launched a consumer facing product last year, and we're really investing a lot into it this year, because if you build a company and you're selling to consumers, you need a place to go. And there's no place that is taking the research and information and new study about creatine and new this and that. Everybody writes about them, but nobody packages it for the wellness consumer in a way that isn't selling them something. It's and there's no ads, there's no like pop-up ads. Like go to some of the more established fitness companies like the Men's Health and whatever's of the world, like 17 Google ads pop up and this happens and the site doesn't
Yeah.
load and you have
Affiliate
to click
links.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
affiliate links. And we're like, no, how do we do it? Same thing differently. So it all really just stemmed from continually learning and listening to people, and just how can we build a more sustainable business long term.
Yeah. It's always a challenge. And you and I have talked about this on at least once on this podcast too, is like the challenge of monetizing B2B media is unique.
Yeah.
It's like you can create a ton of value for an industry. You may like create things that you think everyone's going to love, and then it just goes crickets, right? And then something else will pop because like all of a sudden you'll do something almost by accident. Like someone will be like, "Hey, would you do this for me?" And they're like, "Oh shit, that's business," right? But it's a difficult thing, and I admire that you guys have kind of found a path to really not only create the impact that you want to create, but create the lifestyles for yourselves, right? You and your families, like along the way, like you want to, I'm sure you want to do financially well and doing it in the industry that you love. And you've kind of taken the time to really formulate that. And now you have a clear target and mission and where you want to go, which is a very powerful thing. Like once you know where you want to go, then it's just a matter of getting there. And, but if you have no idea what success looks like or anything like that. So, okay, let's back up again and talk about this rebrand, right? So talk about like the messaging around it. What are all the pillars of what Fit Insider is? And then maybe once you're done with that, tell us like, what does the 10-year vision look like? What does success look like in 10 years for you guys?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. And it's so true that, when we talked about the B2B media, it's so rough. And the only way I've ever seen to do it is like raise money and scale and build and do things in a way that you just have to flip it in the end and get to a certain number so you can sell it. And that's where the ads and the things and all that. And it's like, we don't want to do that. And at the other side, it's like, I think it's also just because it's the industry's too close to us. I mean, dude, same as you. Like, if you've actually been doing it for as long as you and I have, and you've actually been on the ground and doing things, I see it with your podcast, with like the collective you're doing, you're like, oh, you actually believe in why people work in it, and you want to work in it for their mission and the reason. And like, you've been the guy that's trained people and coached people. Like, it's just different. So, like, yeah, we look at it differently, and we just see the opportunity of like, if you don't have your health, nothing else matters. And if someone, it's not going to be the healthcare industry that changes anything. And if healthcare and health is more important than anything, it's going to be us on the other side. And we're going to make our way to healthcare eventually, and it's all going to connect, and it's going to be this whole great thing. But to get there, someone like how's that going to happen? And so that was our mission. And it really, with my personal health and like my dad, dying when we were super young and all that stuff, it was like all that pushed us to that point of like, make it fun, make it cool. Why would you not fund these companies if you're funding another SaaS company that does a CRM? Like, geez, come on. Like, why can't we get funding for these things that are making people healthy and that people want to do? So anyway, long-winded way of saying, like,
I love it.
the system now, the platform now is really the media drives everything forward, the Fit Insider platform. And we're going to add a second newsletter. So it'll be 2 cents a week because there's just so much content information, and it'll stay exactly the way that it is. We're super research, super quality. We'll add more reports. We're really double down on social, like Instagram content for the industry, LinkedIn content specific for the industry. Like, we're writing content just for LinkedIn, just for Instagram, just for channels. Like, I don't care if you go to the website because there's no ads on it. I don't care what you do. Read our stuff, see the newsletter, listen to the podcast, the events that we talked about, like partnering with some places like Udemy and others that we're gonna be putting on events. And again, it's like not the Fit Insider event or whatever. It's like we're putting on an event, gets people to go there, spend time together because they need to connect, they need to be around each other, they need to meet investors, and they need to just like continue to push this thing forward. The recruiting firm, the consulting firm, all just like hiring really talented people that can provide services that everybody needs. You need to hire talented people, you need to have data, you need to have pitch decks, you need to fundraise the right way. And then we're just out there trying to acquire other companies. If you're doing cool stuff in the space and you're building things and you have a service business or you have a media property or another thing, we have established a certain way that because of how we've kind of built things, we want you to be on our team. We want to build the biggest ship and support all the best people in all the best ways. And it's not about how you monetize or like, are you doing cool stuff? Are you doing it the right way? You have an agency, another competing firm, a competing anything. We can all be friends and we will get you paid and we will put it all on the Fitt platform and the Fitt ship and everybody's going the same direction and we'll make sure everybody's taken care of. And like that's where the vision, that's why we needed to rebrand to match that, but then kind of parse out the talent website and this brand. And that's why the rebrand also has that slash for like fit everything that we're doing. And like, how do we convey all that? And this is honestly the first place that we're talking about it publicly. Like we put out a LinkedIn post and we put it in the newsletter, but it didn't go into much detail. And that is our end vision. And then eventually too, we are trying to bring capital with family offices and investment groups into the industry that we can then have a fund and a group of people investing. Not that, doing that so that we can take all the data and research we have so that they're backing the real things. Like we're not going to be the ones running it. We're partnering, but we want to make sure they have the right data so they can back the right things early and often and put real money into it. Because every fund out there right now that is health and wellness, they do sports, they do media, they do gaming, they do whatever. The amount of actual capital dollars that are get dedicated to just fitness, wellness, health, consumer health, longevity, all that is very limited. And a lot of the funding from that is, and then there's like, they do biotech and they do other stuff, but like truly dedicated to this is not that much for how big of an impact the industry is and how many wins that there have been and how many phenomenal businesses have been built. It's insane. So like, how do we do that too? And that's like a big, big thing for us.
And why do you think that is?
I mean, we were talking about before we got on, like I got laughed out of every room pitching a company that if we raised money, we've talked about it in the past couple of weeks, like, do we find a young founder, give him the playbook and do it again? Because everybody looked at fitness as like, oh, it's just like, people work out, whatever. Now it's the entire life of people. We were the first ones to really write about social fitness and write about high performance lifestyle. And like back in 2020, we're talking about like, what does community for fitness mean? And now it's everybody's doing it. Every new company is a community and the run groups and all of this. And it's, I think, the inflection point of COVID and then just the generations aging up of, it's why people aren't drinking. It's why all of those stats that everybody already knows that, probably a million people have said through your podcast. And always like, people know what that's happening, but the money isn't still matching it on the back end. So like, how do we change that? And not only just the money, but like, the system to help them raise the money, because I've seen some really good ideas with some horrible pitch decks and some terrible research. And then, if you look at the industry and, it's great to go to this place or get your thing written here, but like, who's reading that? What does that mean? Are there actual investment banks and actual funds and family offices? And is it distilled in a way that is valuable? And how do you distill the important from the not important if everything's supposedly important because you get paid to be important? You get paid to be important. So it's like, how do you distinguish that? And that's also why we've done for the industry, for everybody to go and say like, this is a place where you can make it a thing. Because I don't understand, if you love health and wellness, everybody needs to be healthy. It's obviously a problem still, no matter how much money is spent on it, it's still a problem for everyone. But then like, if you have a passion for it, and you can work at a bank or you can work in this industry, or you could build a product that for like a SaaS AI thing, or you could do it for this industry. And it's not just like we've talked about nutrition and mental health. Like the mental health issue, very personal to me, is like men and veterans and others, like mental health issues and things like that. Like all day long, why is that not getting all the funding? It's just stuff like that just kind of blows my mind and I don't get. So that's where it's like, how do we change that while building a really strong business so that we can continue to support people doing it time and time again?
Yeah, I mean, my gut says that people think of the fitness industry and they just think of gyms, right? Which typically, if you're going to open a gym, you take a little small, maybe an SBA, right? And you're up and running. Like it's most of them are bootstrapped, right? But very, very few need like a large capital expenditure for startup phase. But now as we're kind of emerging into multiple different things, and obviously we saw a lot of transactions already this year, right? Big
Yeah.
transactions across the industry, which is pretty exciting, I think. But also like there's the, on Wall Street, we've been in a little bit of an embarrassment over the past few years, which things are turning around. We don't have to name names, but we can if we want. So it's been like maybe some go a little early, like maybe a little prematurely to go public. But I feel like that's got to change too. And I think like even I've heard a lot of people who are looking for money. And you probably know this extremely well. Is that if you say, "Oh, I don't know, a fitness app," right? They're going to be the funding's going to be very small, like the opportunities for funding. If you say we're a technology platform that happens to do wellness or something like that, like if you frame it as technology
Yeah.
versus like fitness as a brand, there's something about the stigma of the industry that I can't quite figure out why people don't really take it super seriously yet.
Well, it's also that, and I've been on like it's a one with one of our last companies before Insider. I remember I pitched over 100 VC firms, and like they're like, I just got crushed. And I was joking with some buddies today when we were working out. So with that, it's like, okay, it's the fact that it goes back to like the COVID thing too. Like so much money was poured in that didn't go anywhere. Fitness apps did get funded and things but also they're not, some of them don't deserve funding, and the theories and ideas aren't there, and they don't make sense, which is fine. But at the same time, like thoughtful consumer health companies, consumer healthcare, new products, new things, and that's also part of it. It's not just the funding is an issue, but like providing enough data to instill and have this information to where, and highlighting the right places so that you can see like what is going on and what's happening and why. And also not hyping up some of the brands that went public and did things and like all of that world, like we didn't talk much about a lot of them, or like big hype up stories about how amazing those people are, because you knew that that wasn't real. You knew that, I knew that. So what, like somebody, you have to look around and go, well, who's talking about this and why? It's that type of stuff. So yeah, it's coming to market and doing it right. And then also you're starting to see it now. We're seeing it with the pitches of companies. Like there's really thoughtful companies and founders now, when before it was like fitness app, I'm doing a fitness app, or like nutrition consult, like we're going to do whatever. Like now you're getting very thoughtful things. And that's also why we've done our best to scale hormone health, women's health, fertility, unbelievable space, massive problem, going to continue to
Mm-hmm.
be a problem, male fertility, women's fertility, like the nutrition around it, mental health, dopamine addiction. I mean, I think there's an entire business to build a company that goes against the supplement company, because most supplement companies are bullshit. Like I can name 50 ideas for things, and it's like those that we're seeing now, we're like, oh, these are phenomenal ideas, but the road is harder because the fitness apps got funding and the things that went public were a certain way, and like things happen. So like it really becomes a problem with all of that, and like that's the thing. So yeah, it's really kind of crazy to see all that.
Well, there's I think when we talk about supplements, there's a snake oil feel to it for a lot of the public. Like no one, it's great. We're in a golden time. It's much better now than it was 3-4 years ago, because I think you are getting people who are getting a lot of good information out there. And you talk about the Huberman effect and like people in the consumer wellness space that are educating for the most part. But even then, right? Like there's a lot of people out there who are at the Huberman level where I listen to what they're talking about. I'm like, I don't think hydrogen water is the ticket, guys.
Insane. Absolutely. People don't walk 5,000 steps and we're going to focus on hydrogen water. I'm going to flip my computer. Like, it's so funny, man. Like, that's what I mean. It's so funny. I agree. And that's part of it. And that's honestly, it's that exact method of like why we're just trying to do our best the right way and like really support those people. And eventually more and more, and like we talked about Wellworthy, like we're really investing a ton of money I want to find really good science writers and people to highlight stuff and have a lens to where like, just like with Insider, so many people have gotten mad at us because we won't write about your new announcement or your new thing just because you want us to write. And it's like, sorry, I'm trying to like do value. And then Wellworthy, same thing. Like in the past, we're trying to find the lens there, but like I'm not writing about another mushroom coffee because like you launched a new product. It's cool, but like there has to be a lens here that somebody curates this and says like good and bad. Somebody has to do it.
One thing I've noticed through the lens that I have of like so we work with a lot of great executives in our industry to get them more exposure on podcasts, right? That's kind of the core service of what Podcast Collective does. Someone like Jeff Sweeful, stud, guy's a stud, right? He's CEO
Actually,
of
it's stud.
Lifetime.
How old is he? How can he be so
I'm
jacked at
not
his
going to talk
age?
about his age here, but he's a stud.
It's unbelievable.
Jeff,
Every
if you're
time I talk
listening,
to him, I'm like, dude, I need to start working out more. I
yeah,
hate talking to him.
he gets younger every time I see him, and he lives and breathes it, you know. But like we work with him to get him placed on bigger podcasts, and we hustle to get it done. But like here's someone who's kind of, you know, a really kind of an apex executive within the industry, and to try to get him on some of the bigger entrepreneurial or executive podcasts that are out there that a lot of people probably know, it's a grind, right? Now if he came from, I don't know, the pharma industry, right, people, or the health tech industry, people will be like, whoa, yeah, this guy's the one I want to talk to. So there's just like we're
It's
getting through. It's like a slow grind and push to get, you know, more and more notoriety for the industry, but I think it's getting there. So anyway, I think we beat that
no,
one to the. Go ahead.
you're doing it, man. Like you're right, you're doing it, and it's there. But I agree, and I've talked about this in the past, and I don't always want to harp on it, but like it goes back to the why you asked of like why we're doing this differently. It's like I just feel like it's a better model for us, and we want to build such a big system and a ship. And we always talk about like our goal was to build the roads and the bridges and then ship our own products on them instead of focus on other ways like advertising and other things is like that. Like I'm not going to charge a toll. Like I want to ship my own things, and which is like also why I want to be the first stop that any place goes if they need funding, if they want to sell their product, if you're building even remotely close to what we're trying to do, agency, service, otherwise. Can we partner? Can we do something? Can we invest? Can we acquire it? Like I'm working really hard to go and bring a ton of funding to our HQ as well to like then we can buy all these. So like I would love to acquire all the newsletters that cover all of the adjacent. Like I think we need to 100% buy a CPG newsletter, which we're working on right now. We need to buy a newsletter covers women's health and fertility. We need to buy a newsletter that covers longevity and like the clinical side of things. We need to buy. I want to get into the biotech stuff too. Like I want to buy a biotech pharma one and do it the right way. And I want to build or buy like those things. And like on the consumer side, like buy those properties as well and scale them up. So and then same thing with like the agencies of like the performance publishing and the PR type stuff. Like that's the world I want to be in too. So then it's like not just get on our stuff and have our media, but then how do you get it, like you're saying, like elsewhere, like how do you get people everywhere else to like get it to the rest of the world of like the non-health and wellness people?
Yeah, yeah. I like what you said. That analogy of you want to build your own roads and ship your own products. That makes a lot of sense in my simple mind, Anthony. When you, when you talk about what you guys are doing, I'm like, oh, I think a small light bulb just went off. What is alluded to it? You're so, you know, if you and I are hanging out in 2035, you're like, dude, we did it, we crushed it, we're crushing it. It's exactly what I wanted to happen. Um, what does that look like? What would have happened?
Yeah, I mean, we would have. There's a company called Industry Dive. It sold a couple years ago. They were like a B2B media platform, and I think they did it really well. They didn't sell out. They did it the right way, and if they had the right systems, like a model of that, but for our industry. So we have dozens and dozens of properties that cover everything from the B2B side. Like every major topic, there is a like Morning Brew does it right now. They have the HR brew and the healthcare brew, like a version of that, but it's again protected audiences, a nice lens that curates and researches, and it's not selling you nonsense, and it's not writing about the things and hiring the people that don't deserve it, and it's building a a trusted media platform and property, and then having the actual monetization be all of the services around it, all of the events, all the community groups, all the products, and then the most important thing will be a massive, massive investment fund partner. So the best fund out there that covers healthcare, biotech, wellness, mental health, physical fitness, opening gyms, all of that, brick and mortar, four wall stuff, everything. A massive family office investment fund is alongside that. So you want like it's this kind of flywheel of connect, build, sell, grow, whatever you want to do, we do it. And they all run independently. Like it's funny. Our media property, our team, I couldn't even tell them what to talk about. Like there is a lens and there is a thing that they do what they do. And so I like we don't like I told you we don't even talk about our own stuff on our things because it's not important to people. We're like once a year we'll throw in like, hey, here's what we're doing. But like everyone's running independently. It's always the right thing is the right thing, and we're just building that, and then just still running it ideally with a bunch of really good people around us, and you know, hanging out and working out. That's about it.
That's
In
awesome.
the woods, hanging out in the woods,
Hey, in the woods.
along by the rivers, and working out with people and hanging out. That's all I want to do.
Yeah. Oh, that's great, man. It's beautiful. If you guys ever thought of like an incubator of some sort? Because when I hear you talk, like, I'm not a spring chicken. I'm 48, been around the industry for a long time. But if you asked me to go raise money for a concept or an idea, I wouldn't know. Honestly, I would talk to some people. I would call you. Right? I would call a couple other people. I'd be like, hey, this is what I want to do. Like what I've called Jim Kroll, right? Like people like
Yep.
that. But I feel like I'm lucky to have those contacts, but a lot of people don't. And maybe
Hmm.
people in this industry have been around for a long time who have a great idea and they think they want to start exploring, like, what does it mean to actually, build a pitch deck and a concept that's investable, right? And then who do I talk to? Like, at what degree? Like, what's the difference between a family office and a VC or an angel? Like, all these different things that I think needs to be educated. I think that's part of what our industry needs is really good education, like on the business side of things. So is that something you guys have considered, or do you think there's a need there for that?
Yeah, we've looked into it a lot, like a venture studio incubator type. It's definitely on the list. The only thing that I don't like about those is they're very expensive to run if done right. Like there's one called Redesign Health in the healthcare industry that does a phenomenal job. Absolutely absurd. Like they've launched dozens and dozens and dozens of companies. But I kind of want to build one that is a mixture of a venture studio, like creation engine with the being open to meeting other people and out there so they can come together. Like you're saying, like there's a level of, okay, Eric has an idea, Anthony has a fund, Anthony backs Eric's idea. But then there's like a deeper connection of like Eric's working on a concept. Maybe we pay Eric to work on it a little bit, or like he's out there doing it. And he knows when it's broadly available, we come together and we like co-create something together. I like that idea right now because the other side of the venture studio, like a Redesign Health, is it's expensive to run and you have to hire EIRs and have the ideas and things. So definitely something there. And that's why we're kind of starting to, and you'll see like we're going to be advertising every which way now over the next few months. Like we've never advertised before, anything. So we're going to be advertising, promoting, sponsoring other newsletters, doing other things. And part of that is like, here's Fit Insider, read and listen. But then part of it is if you're building in any way, come talk. Let's figure it out type of thing. And then we're working on that. And that's where this like idea level of like, we want people to be like, hey, I don't know. It's not a company. It's not a formal pitch, but like, this is what's going on. And we want to be able to be like, I mean, that's where Wellworthy started. Our buddy of ours was like, hey, I have this thing. I want to build a new thing eventually. Cause the whole thing with Wellworthy is like have a database and purchasing system and like a marketplace, but then have like a layer of vetting and then also bring in experts to do this. And it's a whole thing. But we were like, I like what you're doing. And that's when we were like, cool, we own it with you. We'll fund it. You work with us, put you on staff. Like, let's build it. And we spent 6, 8 months testing and moving and building. And that's where it is now ready to actually go and be like, hey, me saying, like, this is ours. We're doing this. Like, let's go build this together. Who wants to partner and like be on it and write and create? Like, we just put our first job listing out for it last week. So like now is the time that it's at the level that it is, and we've tested every which way. Like now we know where we're going. So that would be huge to do. And yeah, we just gotta. Again, I'm looking for experts on the capital side, like family offices, funds. Like I'm kind of the guy that can just works to bring people together, but like I don't. There's a lot. There's so many people. They're so much smarter than me at that. That like I need to figure out how to do that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think the advantages that you have in a B2B media is that you're a gatekeeper connector by nature, right? Just by the nature of what you do is like you talk to so many people, you interview people. And by you, I mean like the collective we of B2B media. And that's always been a tough thing to like, it's a great thing to have, but it's a tough thing to monetize, at least for me. Like I connect people because I like it, right? Like, hey, if I see an opportunity for a collaboration, I'm going to make that connection if I think it's worthwhile. But I
Yeah.
always thought that was, that's always an interesting thing. I mean, everyone wants to talk to you, right? Like everyone wants to talk, but rarely is it like, hey, we want to pay you for something.
And that is part of one. Like I said, we've made a lot of people mad because we, even if they wanted to pay us, we wouldn't take their money. And the other part of it is like, we don't want to ask people for things. We don't want to be the place like, hey, do you want like, no, we're not asking anyone for anything. Of all the people we've ever had on the podcast and everywhere else. And like, same thing with like, so recruiting. We have a very big list of clients for recruiting consulting with big names. I'm not cold emailing people saying, hey, or I'm not like going through our list being like, hey, do you need this? It's like, do you see it? Do we chat about it? Do you like how like that way? Because and it is hard, and I think that's why everybody kind of gravitates to a certain way of like, because you know what I've seen in the media of the past, you paying per intro, getting paid per intro, like that is a very, very common thing. I just spoke to a founder who
I
runs a
don't like
newsletter
it.
that we were looking at. Exactly same. I'm not doing that.
Feels
Or
weird.
like
Yeah.
me coming to you and be like, hey, let me give you 5 grand, put me on your podcast and let me sell something. You'd be like, no, I'm
Yeah.
not doing that. Exactly. So I just spoke in a newsletter. Great guy doing stuff. They're generating pretty good revenue, making plus $100,000 a year, getting paid for intros. That runs out eventually, and it's just not what we want to do. And I know that's not how you are either. So it's like, yeah, what do you do from there? Like it's a difficult thing, and that's why I think I'm really excited that we have taken the amount of time, not monetizing, not doing, and then being thoughtful. And like I went on a warpath and spoke to every media founder person, research everything we could figure out, and like I think we landed on what is going to be the future of both funding, investment funding, like actual venture capital and other things. Like we're seeing it now. You need media, you need access, you need services, you need value, you need to be able to do more. And on the flip side of it, the future of B2B media of like if all content is so easily accessible, but you don't know where it's coming from or if you trust it, it's just coming through ChatGPT or other sources or
Mhm.
whatever Google decides to serve up that day. Where do you go for an actual lens that is there and not selling you? Because they're all going to end up selling you things anyways. Where do you go? What's that value? I think that value is untold going forward. So like that's what we're trying to do. And same thing with you, like the fact that I trust Eric and Eric does this and he is this guy, there if you keep molding it like that trust and value and knowledge and connections that you can get to those people and they like you and will respond to you and want to just not even do we want to do this, like, dude, let's go hang out. Like I feel like me, you and Sean still have to go do something together. Like that level of like if there's doing stuff like that, it's worth more than any intro you're gonna get paid to make. It's just you gotta like mold it a little bit.
When I go to these events, I started focusing really on like if I'm going to go to a dinner, who are like the 3 or 4 people that I really just want to hang out with. And this is like this big thing. And I'm so much happier, man. When I go to the events, I have such a better time, and I'm still productive, right? But it's interesting, and I don't want to pass judgment on anyone who makes connections for a living. There's value in that, but I think it's a short-lived strategy to the market. It's kind of people are going to know, people are going to figure it out. That
Yeah.
you're not doing it for a particular type of value. That this is transactional, and that's what I would warn people over time. Because I've thought about it, I've dabbled in it, it didn't like it, it just didn't feel right,
Yeah.
and then it just comes across disingenuine or inauthentic. I get those words wrong, but
I don't know.
yeah,
That's Joe's world. That's not my world. He's the speaker on that. And it's funny you say like the events. That's why we don't go to anything. Like I just can't. I can't. I'd rather just like get a group. One thing we're really working on is like a community group version idea that can bring really cool people together. We don't know the model. Really trying hard to figure it out. Of like bring really good people together to hang out, work out. Why are we not all doing that? Why are we going to hotels and talking? No one wants to hear you talk about your idea. Can we all just hang out, work out, and give space? So we have right here, like I don't want to turn thing because we're on a podcast, but like there's a gym with people, and like we're in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a small city, and it kind of goes back to the other question of like if I was going to open something today, like in Pittsburgh, there is like the amount of people that we get together, we work out. If you want to pitch us and talk to us, and you come here, and a buddy of mine who's made so much money and is super, super successful guy. Like he has all this stuff. He's here. Everyone wants to pitch him all day. Come work out with us. Spend time with us. Like, don't sell yourself. Don't pitch me. Like, let's hang out. Let's go get coffee together. Like, let's spend time together. And we will know pretty quickly if we're all supposed to be working together or not. Like, that is the level of like, okay, cool. I want that to be a thing. I don't know how it is a thing yet, but that's my end goal.
yeah, it sounds amazing. I don't know how to make it a thing yet either. And I've even pitched this to my wife because I've been thinking about it so much. Like, what do you think about this? About like having a small executive retreat here in Montana? Because everyone wants to come to Montana now. It's, and for good reason. It's fucking awesome here. But like, have like 3 days of like, just some executives within our industry who are maybe, maybe not executive, maybe just people who are really interested in authentic relationships of, we'll do a day of fly fishing, then we'll hang out, right? Maybe we'll go
Sign me
jump
up.
in the lake. Yeah.
Tell your wife it's a great idea, dude.
Every guy I've told so far, and every woman too, they're like, yeah, dude, that sounds amazing.
We'll sponsor it. We'll do it together. Let's do it. Because like we were just talking as a group today about fly fishing. We're like, we all need to go fly fishing.
Yeah. Have you ever been?
No.
Oh,
I fish
it's
a
great.
ton regularly and like walk off the dock, throw a thing in the water, but
Yeah.
like I've never done fly fishing and I've heard it's unbelievable.
It's also really frustrating when you start.
Oh well, that's
Yeah.
great too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
No,
funny.
you'll lose your
So
mind.
start that for sure. Just my
Okay.
I'm throwing my little vote on that.
Okay. All right. You guys heard it here first. So last question I have for you, and this is the fun one I always enjoy because I think it kind of tells a lot of things. But if, as a former gym owner, if you're gonna, maybe you and Joe, or just you, I don't know, you choose. If you're gonna start a gym today, what would it look like?
Definitely would have to be a Joe. We do everything together.
Good answer.
Honestly, it would be what I was just talking about. Like I have a very deep passion for men's mental health. Been through a ton in my life, and like a lot of my buddies from the Marines and other places like have had major struggles, the health and cancer shit. Like there's nowhere to turn if you're doing it and it's all on you. I feel like a lot of times. And I've had a ton of like close calls on like the mental health side for myself with things. I have a passion for that. So like here we started working out with a group of people, and it's like such a diverse group of people, and they come sometimes. We put out a call on Saturdays. Core group does Monday, Wednesday, but then Saturdays and everyone else. And the amount of things that these guys are sharing and how they're reacting and what they're doing, and then how it's just changing their lives. Everyone's healthier. Like I've had husbands or wives of these guys come up to me and like that we meet and they're like, "Oh, you're part of the workout group. Like Mark is so different because of this thing." Or like, there's a buddy Casey, Mark, Tim, other places like they're awesome dudes, and it's like um something like that, like a community group gym that is based around being together, but then also it kind of taps into that business thing. Like we're starting a new thing. A couple of dudes are like start because we spend time together and we like each other and like we want to support each other. And this guy is super successful and we want to lift people up, and that's what he does. He like helps other people. So it would be a version of that, like a modern day country club type thing, not crazy expensive. 100% you have to put an application and like go through the process and put the work in, and more work and personality and like person based than it is something else. And it would be also like be able to surround yourself with smarter people, because the one thing like I always say, like, I don't do anything. Everyone on the Fit team is absolute killers, and I'm like the dead weight that like weighs us down and gets caught up in meetings doing dumb stuff. Like, and that's what I want to be. I want to be around like really good people that are trying to be help. Everyone's trying to improve themselves, find progress and momentum, and just be a community. So like, I don't know what that business model is. That's why I really like Dane from the athletic clubs. Have you had him on before? You should get him on. They just raise money from Ann from Solo Core, but like Dane, I sat down with him a couple times in New York, and like it's about squads, getting like you have the same workout, essentially like the same workout squad over and over again. Like that's when you join a gym, you get paired with people and like that's your crew and you work out together. Super cool. Just something community, fitness, social type thing, and like be healthy, make businesses, make friendships, do stuff. Like we go get coffees now. We play Scopa, which is like an Italian card game. Like we do that a couple times a month. Like just shit like that. That's it. It's all that's like, if I could, again, a lot of the things I'm saying, I feel like aren't thoughtful businesses. They're just like trying to bring people together and do cool stuff.
Yeah, it's like I hear elements of CrossFit without breaking yourself, right?
Yeah.
Which it was a problem. I'll admit. I walked away with a few
CrossFit's
injuries.
OG though. I
Yeah,
was just I had a reporter call me the other day about like a story on High Rocks, and I had to be like, listen, CrossFit and the Spartan races and like with a lot of the community groups, social fitness competition, like yes, CrossFit was OG there, like
yeah,
100%. Got to give them props.
percent. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And I was, you and I were really like, I think I started in '08, and some of the workouts I was doing back then was just absolutely so dumb, like the
So
dumbest, like the just yeah. I can't even.
agree.
But anyway, so elements of like that community function, but that's what CrossFit did the best, right? Show that the power of community and getting into action, doing hard things together, bonds. Like the people next door who are building this, which you can see this house over here. Those are like members, people who joined my gym in 2010, right?
Oh,
We
really?
were still friends. They bought the lot next to us and they're building a house next door. Like you don't get that anywhere else. You
That's
don't get
cool.
that in a normal gym, right? And it's still like, I don't know how many marriages and babies came from our gym, but it's a very powerful thing. But if you take the best elements of that maybe tone it down a little bit, right, from the training perspective, but also have that wellness and that community center feel, and like, you can make it very specific to men's health as well. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, it's rare nowadays to have a place where men, and I could tell you right now, like, for men who get into their middle age, who especially relocate, it becomes really hard to find those groups, really hard.
Yeah.
And
And I
we're
think we're
terrible at
lucky
it.
in the health and wellness industry. Like we have some of that, but like you meet some guys in other areas that don't. Like this is their first time really working out. They've never been a part of this group. It's like they know drinking. They know
Yeah.
drinking or they know this club or they know this
And
thing, but
watching
like
sports.
and then you start to see how this opens up and you're like, "Oh, this is pure magic. Like this is crazy the transformation." So yeah, I agree. Something there and it's funny you bring up the gyms. Like yeah, we I feel like we still go on vacation and meet and stay at houses of people that from our gym back in 2010. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's really cool. Well, man, we've been chatting for a while. I guess one more question for you is, like, if you look at the state of the industry now, how do you feel? Are you more excited than ever? Are you approaching with caution? Do you think we're in a golden era? Do you think there's anything we need to be aware of or cautious of? Like, what do you feel right now?
Yeah, I mean, the big cautionary thing is like the luxury of fitness and like there's so much stuff that is happening that is purely luxury and so expensive and so insane, whether it be supplements or certain gyms or certain offerings or clinics or this $20,000 a month gym and this like cool, like it, but like why is that the stuff that gets written about? Why is that the stuff that gets not just like it's in the New York Times, it's in this like cool, awesome, I get it. But we are we are always forgetting that fitness is walk more, eat healthy, eat less, drink less. Like that's what we're trying to do here. Like so that is the thing that I hate that we sometimes get and people always like we'll write posts and put stuff out and they're like, well, this is a luxury. It's like the stats we put out and people say like it's because of it's like, yeah, I know. And we've said it a million times. Same thing with like the food that people eat and the access. Like most people in America in certain areas, like they don't have access to this. So like who's working on that, highlight them, build towards that. If you're founders, build those things. So like that, and then how do you connect healthcare and sick care, whatever you want to call it, to health, fitness, and active lifestyle? Because that is the future.
Yeah.
That is, but so that's the exciting part, like the funding and the brands and the amount of people and the new generations focused on this. And like for every bad there is about people talking about iPad kids and being on their phones, they're not drinking. They're doing like there's a lot of wins. And I think it's such a binary thing of like good and bad, yes or no, this diet or that diet. Like the whole goal is just to get people to be healthier, live longer, feel better, just just have a good time and like that's what we're here for. I think that sometimes gets lost. So I feel really good about the industry. There's so many passionate, amazing people that are building in it. And I just hope that they keep building in it and more people building it and always like a call to arms. Like if you want to do it, you can make money in it. You could work at a company, you could build things, you could do things, you can get a really solid job. If you're a designer, a developer, you're a podcaster, come work in the health and wellness industry. There's money in it now. And there's things here now. So like get everybody in here. We need new people too, man. Like talk about events. You go to events and places, it's the same people. It is I want to run through every wall that I see it when you see the list of people talking at the same event since I owned my gym in 2010. Like get some new people, get some fresh blood, get some different things, and let's talk about and get different things going on. So to answer it again, I feel like I ramble so much on things like this, but like I feel good about it. I'm excited. I think there's amazing people building in it, and it's really about the core mission of it more than anything, and that we got to make sure that everybody is getting brought along so that everybody can be healthy and do this thing.
Awesome. And I'll just sprinkle a little bit of like political will that seems to be possibly
Right?
happening right now, right? For the next three and
You
a half.
never
I don't
know,
know.
right?
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. But Anthony, it's always a pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on and talking about what you guys are up to. And obviously there's insider.fit.co, which is where I'm sure you want most people to go and sign up for the newsletter. I've been, on your list forever. You on LinkedIn as well. Any other place you'd want people to go or anything specifically you want to hear from people?
I mean, just anything we talked about. If you want to chat, hit me up. LinkedIn message. Also, Instagram. We've really revamped and put a ton of time into like platform specific. We have Julia making phenomenal Instagram videos about the news, so you don't even have to read the newsletter anymore. Like, or you have to go these places. We have the stuff coming out. So the Fit Insider Instagram and fitt.co. So Phil has like everything, the different services, the different newsletters, whatever else. But yeah, man, I really appreciate it. This has been awesome to chat as always. And like I said, we got to get together actually in person and let's do that fly fishing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right on. Well, man, that's a wrap. Ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Vennare.
Thank you.